Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Tandvatitam Gaganasadarsham Tattvamasya Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satguru. Now we are going to examine what we discussed in the morning in a slightly different way. Need to look at all this different angles and then sit down quietly. So, you have heard, you have read in many places that you should try to find out who you are. Right? Many great people have said, find out who you are. Now, is there a process for that, to find out who you are? Or is it a question of understanding? Is it a process or is it an understanding? We have to be clear, because otherwise we will spend number of years, because somebody got it, found it and said it, simply sitting down and saying, who am I, who am I, who am I? How can you find out who you are? By simply saying, who am I? Somebody said, yes, I agree. Can we, if it is in the West, they might put you in a psychiatric ward. They'll wonder why this guy doesn't know who he is. Yeah. So, the meaning of that should be understood by looking at the person who said it and how he said it and who he was. It's not a common thing for everybody to say who I am, who am I, and how will you figure out? To keep saying who am I is a chant. It's as good as saying Rama Rama or something else. Does it really convey the meaning of that? Okay, now who, it is already there in the Upanishads, figuring out who you are. But in recent times, who said it? Look at the person, look at the personality. Not like you and me. Not an ordinary fellow like you or me. It was said by a special person. And look at the life of that special person. One, he did not have a guru. Or at least we don't know who is guru. Right? Yes or no? These are facts. Okay. And at what age? At the age of 15 or 16, I don't know exactly, a young man living in one part of Tamil Nadu, near Madurai actually, I think, suddenly felt that he was going to die. How many of you have felt that you are going to die? Actually, seriously, did you find out who you are? No. So he felt that he was going to die. Seriously, not just a thought. He said, yes, death is coming. And then he lay down, saying, this is how a dead body is when it dies. This is how it is taken to the cremation grounds. Lay down. And then he discovered, while lying down like a dead body, that he actually was practically dead, but his consciousness was still alive. It is not like saying, I am going to die and pretending to die and lying down straight. No. He actually felt that he was dying and his body was dead and he was still alive. Whether he was alive when he looked at the body from out or whether he didn't, we don't know. But he was convinced that While the body was dead, he was still alive. Now, please watch. In that time, he did not have a teacher. He did not have a guru. We don't know, at least. My conclusion, perhaps in some life, maybe this was the last part of his life. It culminated in this life. Before that, he must have gone through area. We don't know. We leave it there. We don't know. Okay. That he was honest, sincere, and spoke the truth, I have no doubt. Now, after that, imagine, to stabilize that understanding, how many years did he spend doing nothing but sitting down with closed eyes? Closed eyes or open eyes, we don't know. Because if you look at any of the pictures of Ramana Maharishi, you can't find one picture with closed eyes. And when we say we meditate, we are always eyes are open. Because if it is all pervading, it's here as well as here. You don't have to shut. Okay, anyway. So then, after many years, it got stabilized. And then he said, now I am not this body. It's not theoretical saying. We heard it, we can repeat it. That is a different matter. For this person, it was an actual thing. What I'm trying to say is, so for us who haven't gone through all this, who haven't died and come back alive, simply to say, who am I, who am I, who am I, becomes a meaningless chant. I don't know if you have looked at it carefully. Because in certain part of India, you will go, you will find lots of people sitting and saying, who am I? Some are even wearing a cowpin. Is this the way that when Maharishi went, there was nobody wearing cowpins and sitting anywhere. It is his original. The others are the imitations. So, the meaning of what he said when he discovered it was that I am not the body. We could add a corollary to that. I am not even the subtle body. I am Sushma Sharira. I am not the mind. I am beyond all these things. And that beyond all these things is not I am. It is beyond all I am. Because the moment I comes into the picture, that is gone. So, when everything is quiet, well, it begins with inquiry into the true source of one's consciousness and existence. When it becomes real, then there is no one meditating, no one experiencing, no one seeing anything. There is only one thing. We don't know what thing. You can call it Brahman. The Upanishads have said you cannot explain it. Upanishad says, "And manasana manyute enahur manomatam," that which even the mind cannot understand, but because of which the mind owes its existence to. Tadeva brahmam tvam vidvi nedam yadidam upasate. That alone is the truth, O disciple, nothing that you worship here. Upanishad, Shruti. Read the commentaries by Shankara also on that. Interesting. So, this is the essence of one's being, which comes when we look at ourselves and examine. This body is here today and gone tomorrow. It is not permanent. So if there is a permanent eternal entity in me, if, it cannot be this. Then the mind. Usually the mind lasts only as long as the body is around, because what we normally mean by the mind is the brain with its thoughts. It lasts only as, anybody can think after the brain is dead? Unless you suppose there is a subtle body, so, which you don't know, suppose. So, normally thought is not there. So is there something that exists? which is the eternal self, which is blissful by itself, which exists even beyond the mind, beyond thought, that is the self. It cannot be thought, because thought is concocted by the mind. When we say mind, it's a bundle of thoughts. Try thinking of the mind without thought. How? You can say, today I am totally thoughtless. Who is thinking? Today I am completely free of the ego. Who? Somebody is sitting there, right? So when all this is gone and settled down, when no words are there to discuss, describe or do anything, when the mind is completely silent, free of all its tensions and disappointments and excitements, and then perhaps when that mind is not there, then there is the truth. This is what he was trying to say. You want more proof? There was a great poet, rishi, singer, scholar, everything put together. Anybody knows who went to Ramana Maharishi? Huh? Ramalinga Swami. What? Sadashiv Brahmendra didn't go to Ramana Maharishi. Nice, with little bit ganja, but clear words. Oh, Ganapathi Muni. He had some other name, I forgot. Kavya Kanta, that means jewel of all kavyas, poets. Ganapathi Shastrigal. The first man actually to coin the word Ramana Maharishi. Before that nobody knew. Nobody used that word. So when Ganapathi Muni, after having studied, like all of us, after having studied everything, Vedanta, he was a Sri Vidya Upasaka, people suddenly come and ask me, can you give me Sri Vidya? What do you answer for this? No, anyway, he done everything, gone through the whole thing. Which means what? Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Agamas, Itihasas, Sri Vidya, which means Tantra. Tantrayana and Mantrayana, both. And after all this, he still felt that there was some barrier which was not allowing him to find the truth. After all this, we all have to go through some circus, no? So after all this. And then he was looking for somebody who would guide him. So he was passing through Tiruvannamalai, so somebody said, there in that gufa up there in the hill, there is some yogi sitting there, maybe he can help you go there. Nobody knew. The present Ramana ashram is across the road on this side, down. So he went up. His description is that when he went up, he saw a simple looking person sitting in the front of the cave. His eyes were open, but the eyes were not registering anything. Eyes were open, but looking straight. He had to wait for a long time to see if the image of himself is being focused. After a long wait, that you must admit. Normally if you have 1/4 of the Panditya of Ganapathi Muni, you would not wait for 5 minutes. Why he is not respecting me, who is he, and go off. No. Humility is very important. He waited and waited and waited till the eyes focused on him. When the eyes focused on him, he wanted to ask something, but Maharishi, as usual, did like this. What? Why are you sitting here? I asked you in the morning. I'm not Maharishi. What? So, he had only to get that cue. He started. Started from the very beginning, where he studied, what he did. It went on non-stop for some minutes. Then he said, after all this, there is some barrier. I cannot go beyond this barrier. So what should I do? Maharishi, as usual, selected few words which he uttered. Sometimes I think it's a waste to talk. He usually kept quiet. Few words. He simply asked him, "Konja neram summa irukka mudiyuma?" Can you shut up? If you put it literally, can you shut up for a few minutes? Because this guy was always on what he's doing. I did this, I did that. He's a great man, of course, I agree. But he said, if you can, because what is to be discovered is discovered when there is no such claim, no such talk, no such discussion, and no such ego. When everything is quiet, just keep quiet. In that quietness, it happens. It doesn't happen through any other way. Even the greatest of the teachers, from the time of the Upanishads, it has been said, all this is being told for you to understand. But when you understood, there is nothing to say. Yad vachana abhyutitam, which words cannot describe. Right. So now this is a tall order. How can we shut up? Now we are shutting up. I am only talking. The moment I am out, so it's the habit for us to talk. Keep talking, and therefore not knowing. Knowing, therefore not talking. Okay, one way of looking at it. So when you go deep within yourself, when you're not identified with even your knowledge, when the mind is calm and quiet and simple, not complicated, then something dawns. This is what we are seeking. And all the maze, kriya, everything is basically to calm down. It's a tall order to tell the mind, shut up, keep quiet. So we are saying that for everybody it is not possible, for most people. Ganapathi Muni got it in a shot. This is the meaning of saying Shruti. When the person is prepared, Shruti is that which is said, not read. What is Shruti? That which is heard, Shrotra. It is said. If the person is prepared, it is finished, it's over. Which means, anybody here grasps it, you don't have to come for tomorrow's satsang. You can go home happily or sit in the beach. You know what I mean? Seriously. Now, I won't be unhappy. I'll be happiest. So, okay. So that is one way of putting it. Let me look at another way. I'm trying hard. Like the Rishi said, "Na vidmo na vijanimo yadhaetat anushishyat." I don't understand. I can't figure out how to put this to you, so I'm trying to put it. So if I fail, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't blame me if I fail. Okay. Here's another example. This comes from a different tradition altogether. This comes from a particular kind of tradition among the early Buddhism in Tibet. Early. Much before it was stratified into lamas and so on and so forth. You know that the Buddhism went to Tibet quite late, much after Gautama Buddha's time. There was a Tibetan king, I'm just giving you the background, no need to understand. There was a Tibetan king called Trisong who found his praja, his people, being very cruel and bloodthirsty and having wars all the time. So he decided maybe if Buddhism is brought in, these people may improve. Non-violence and peace and so on. Chinese tried to make them peaceful by marrying away some princess to the rulers, but it didn't work. The princesses also became violent. Then, what did Trisong do? He invited a monk belonging to the ancient Buddhist order called Sutrayana. I'm sorry, I don't like to call it Hinayana. It's not a lesser vehicle. Sutrayana is the Buddhism, original Buddhism, which depends only on the Diamond Sutra, the words of the Buddha. His name was Shantarakshita. Shantarakshita went there and he was able to convey his teachings to a large extent, and many people turned to Buddhism and they became less violent and so on and so forth. But before he went there, already there was a sect in Tibet who are known as the Bonpas. N is silent, Bonpas. They are like the shamans. You've seen shamans. We don't have shamans here. North America, in Mexico, in such places there are shamans who have all kinds of dances, and also they practice some methods of destruction if necessary. They're also like rainmakers. So these Bompas did not like competition. So wherever Shantarakshita tried to put up a stupa, they destroyed it. Some people say they invoked thunder to destroy it. Some people say they did. Anyhow, so Shantarakshita couldn't succeed in this. No stupa could be put up. So, you must also understand that 100 years after Buddha, there were no likeliness of the Buddha made, because Buddha had specifically instructed, I don't want my likeness to be made. For 100 years after him, the stupa was merely a stone with an umbrella on it to show that there is the Buddha there. The Buddha that you see today was first made during the time of the Alexander's time, post-Alexander, when the Greeks invaded Afghanistan and those areas. So what you see is a kind of a Greco-Afghan image of Buddha that will come to us. 100 years after Buddha, there was no image. Anyway, that's for historians to look into. So, when Shantarakshita could not manage the Bompas, he suggested to the king that there is an the Udyan was those days in Afghanistan, near Afghanistan, quite close to Gandhar, from where Gandhari came, and it was part of the larger territory of the ancient Bharat. So in Udyan lived a tantric Buddhist, meaning he was well versed in Tantra, but he was also a Buddhist by faith. So much of the Mahayana Buddhism, especially Tantrayana part of Mahayana, comes from the teachings of this man. His name was Padmasambhava. In fact, the Buddhists of Tibet consider him as their root guru. Padmasambhava is called Guru Rinpoche. So Padmasambhava came walking, and wherever he went, he built stupas. They couldn't do anything, they were born was. This is how the Buddhism came into what present Mahayana. Of course, there was the great Nagarjuna from, proud to say, Andhra Pradesh, close, because I live there now, who wrote the beautiful text called the Prajna Paramita, a discussion on consciousness, on Prajna, which of course is a textbook followed by them. Anyway, so why did I mention this? Yeah, so this tradition, the first tradition that came from Padmasambhava, in some pockets it's still there. There's nothing to do with the lamas or the hierarchy or any other system. They're called the Dzogchen. Dzogchen. If you write it in English, you have to write with a D because it's Dzogchen. Now here is a story from the Dzogchen tradition. I'm looking at what we discussed earlier in a different angle. There was a great Dzogchen master and his disciple, who, like many of our friends, lived with the master for 20 years and so on. And after 20 years kept bothering him, saying, I've lived with you for 20 years. I didn't get the Dzogchen experience. When am I going to get it? Is my life all wasted? I've done nothing. I've only followed you for 20 years. Nothing has happened to me. It's every day. So one day, the master said to him, come here. You see that hill there on the top of the mountain? He said, yes, I can see it. Do you see that empty sack lying there? You know what a sack, no? Gunny bag lying there. Do you see those stones on this side? Yes. Go now. He said, but Master Dzogchen, he said, please listen. Go and fill this bag with all the stones, full, till it's so heavy. It's an effort to even pick it up. Tie it nicely, put it on your shoulders. He thought, because I asked an inconvenient question, the master is trying to kill me. Put it on your shoulders. Now, see that hill? Go up. He said, carry. Go. So, puffing and panting with great difficulty, he reached the top of the hill. When he reached the top of the hill, he was so tired, he thought he was going to die. And there, on top of the hill, there was nothing but one big tree. Now when he reached there, Master had already reached there. How? On the horse. Then he said to him, throw this burden away. So he threw it down, and then he didn't want to listen to the master, forget about Dzogchen. He threw the bag down, went and sat under the tree, heaved a sigh of relief. And he said, Master, I got it. So it's a question of unburdening ourselves. We have so many burdens. It's not the weight. It's the brain weight, the burdens. I am so and so, I did this, and therefore somebody didn't recognize me. It was a big torture. I went into a marriage place, nobody recognized me. I said, that's nice, you could have had your food and go out to the back door. Okay. But no, these are the burdens. I am so and so, I have read this. This is exactly what Maharishi said to this man. Can you keep quiet? Which means, can you throw away these burdens? We come with so many burdens from our past lives, if you believe in past lives. I do. And then, after coming here, we again burden ourselves with unnecessary luggage. All that we have studied, all that we have done, all the yoga we have practiced, we burden ourselves with so much. And then how can we be free? We have to unburden ourselves, to throw it off shoulders, then you will realize what it is. There's nothing, it's very simple, most difficult to do. It's as difficult as shedding weight. Even more. Shedding weight, maybe you stop eating, you may die or something like that. But here it's not possible. Even if you don't eat, it will be there. That will be the added burden. Nowadays I am fasting. I do upavasa regularly. So I am better than that other guy who is eating only jackfruit every day. So, this is some of the thoughts I wanted to discuss. It's continuation of what we did in the morning. Why are you laughing? I think in Kerala there is a lot of jackfruit there. Do you eat jackfruit every day? That is her burden now. Shift to tapioca. Okay, so I have said some things, and any questions? No, don't be silent because Ganapathi Muni became silent. Neither Maharishi is sitting here, nor Ganapathi Munis are here. So, okay.
First of all, I just feel very, very indebted to you. No, the thing is because of what I've... sometime when I was in my 40s, like this word Atma Vicharam suddenly cropped up in my mind, I don't know from where. And I didn't do much about it then. I mean, I know it was at the background that I'm not doing something which I ought to be doing. Then during the COVID, when everything became very still, I got into reading and many the scriptures.
See,
the
so therefore you see the COVID was very useful.
Very useful for me, for many persons like me.
Many people, yes.
Yes, I started listening.
For me it was very useful because no satsang, no travel.
That
Anyway,
was a time when I started listening to you and others also. So started reading up on Upanishads and whatever practice. So after that, it's like whatever mechanically I used to do, offering flowers and things like that, started developing a meaning or in whatever we do. And the work also, like how I look at my family, how I look at my work, everything took on a slightly different color.
good.
So even earlier I was not like splurging person, but after this, what we call the materialistic joys, small joys also came down. In the sense like I can't sit through a movie, I mean I can't talk.
Ice cream.
Rarely, yes.
Yeah.
Still not. So sometimes I feel ingyo illama or tavippa irukku sometimes.
You?
That ஒருக்கா இதனோட ஆத்ம விசாரணை போய் டிப்ரெஷன்ல போறேன்.
இல்ல அப்படி ஆகாது. It's not like that. This is like you are asking the same question that Krishna asked Arjuna asked Krishna in the 6th chapter of the Gita, which is called Dhyana Yoga. So Krishna is like a friend, he is talking to Arjuna and he is telling him, listen, if you need to find that truth, that you need to, your mind should be steady and quiet like a flame where there is no wind. When wind disturbs the flame, steady flame. If you develop that, then one day you will be free. Now Arjuna says to Krishna, now this is not possible for me. Because if you had told me conquer the wind, I might have done that. But conquering the mind and making it steady without any wind looks impossible to me. So as you said, he asked him, so what happens to a fellow like me, who is neither here nor there, who has neither reached spiritual fulfillment, and because I concentrate on that, I may not reach material fulfillment. So am I in the middle somewhere hanging? What happens to persons like me? Now such people who practice or do sadhana or move towards the truth and have not and cannot finish it before they die, they are called yoga bhrashtas. So he says, I am a yoga bhrashta, I cannot, I'll die without reaching there perhaps. So what happens to me? To souls like me, what happens? So Krishna says two things. I'm not saying, but listen to what he says. Maybe he is better than me. He says, not maybe, he says that in such cases, whatever you have done in this journey is your bank balance. It doesn't get reduced. You may not get interest on it, but it doesn't get reduced. It stays there. So you don't have to start with square one again. If you have come to square 3, your next continuation will be into 4. He doesn't use these words, I am using to make it clearer. So, when you are born again, suppose you are a yoga bhrashta, I hope you finish before that, I am just saying what Krishna told. It can happen now if one wants actually, but it doesn't matter. He says that in such cases, such souls can be born under 2 circumstances in the next. This is only if you believe in the next birth. One is the soul is born in such a situation with parents who are wealthy and good, and from childhood he sees wealth and knows how much the dollar can buy. Beyond that it cannot buy happiness, and therefore turns towards the spiritual. This is one possibility. This is like the Buddha, who was a king, like the Gautama, who was a king. He saw everything, the joys of the palace, and decided this is no way, because anyway I am also going to grow old. I see sick people, I see dying people, and this wealth is not giving me much happiness, so he turned. So like one case. Or he says such souls will be born in such families which have already some understanding of the path to truth, who have studied the scriptures, who lead a good sattvic life, born in such circumstances, so that from then on the journey becomes easy for him. But then don't use it as an excuse and not pursue it now.
One more doubt here. So they say that when we pass on, the last thought, I mean that almost decides your next birth.
Absolutely, I totally agree with this.
In that case, so I'm scared to just depend on myself, my thought. So the guru, what is the important?
Leave me out of this.
No, not. Yes, I understand.
Okay. So let me tell you this. Oh, you are right. When the soul leaves the body, if you believe there is a soul leaving the body, when it leaves the body, the last thought on its mind or the last desire on his mind is what will happen when you come back. The problem is, throughout our life, if we are thinking of other things, it is not possible at that last moment to think of that. That is the only problem. Well, it is true that the last thought will take you very go, but how will you bring about that last thought? But most of the time, your mind is occupied with other things, right? So therefore, they say, train yourself while you are still in this life to think only of that, so that when you are passing away also, you think about that. Not possible to suddenly shift. Keep this in mind.
Namaskaram, sir. Sir, Ramalinga Adigalar propounds Jiva Karunyam, which is also part of your rules, do not harm others. But he goes further a step, saying that he's very strict about it, saying that if you eat non-vegetarian, don't enter my temple. So how essential is it to progress spiritually to stop eating non-vegetarian?
One, do not imitate anybody. Some great souls might have eaten. Swami Vivekananda ate everything that crawled. He had no problem. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ate fish. You don't have to imitate. It is true that if you can live without injuring living animals, you are more likely to move on the path. So therefore, I think it is important. And if your background is already that, why do you want to change it? You don't have to change it. Some people think by becoming modern, I'm rebelling, so makes no sense. It's just the ego that is speaking. And there are very tasty foods available even in, it's basically the taste. So, but if you for some reason see somebody eating non-veg, not eating in front of you, but heard that somebody had, some great saint had, you don't have to imitate. They might have done many other things which you cannot imitate. Can you? You cannot. So my suggestion to all sadhaks who do is stick to a vegetarian diet. Yeah, because it's not so difficult. It's very easy. There are beautiful foods available, I'm telling you. You don't have to kill your tongue for that taste. Look, there are hundreds and thousands of Marwadis living on this earth. They all enjoy their food. I was invited to dinner at one of, today the wealthiest family in India, or maybe they in the part of the world, I don't know, in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Before they invited me, they said, Guruji, we don't even eat garlic and onion, we are Jains. I said, okay. But the cooks are all like 5-star cooks with the caps. Food was good. In Kerala, they make sadhya. Most of the traditional sadhya dishes don't even have onion and garlic. How much people eat? No? After the payasam also. So, it's a question of developing the taste. So if you can live without causing injury to other living beings, please start practicing now only. But having said that, I want to tell you a story. If a teacher does something for a certain purpose, you need not imitate that. But the teacher should make sure that he doesn't do it so that people don't follow. That's also there, the other corollary. Now I'm going to tell you a story. There was a great teacher who went for a walk one day with his disciples. There were about 8 or 9 disciples. And don't take it as a license to do something. This is a story about. So he was going. There were about 10-15 disciples with him. As they were walking, they came in front of a tavern. What's a tavern? It's the old way of saying bar, where wine is served. So the tavern owner was standing outside like this. He had no hope that he will come there. He was a holy man, but maybe he may come. So the master turned to him and said, "Can I come in?" He was thrilled. He said, "Yes, please come." They all sat, and the disciples also sat behind him. And then the master turns to the owner and says, "What have you to offer me?" This guy says, "Master, there's only wine here. There's nothing I can offer you." The master says, "Yeah, wine. Yes, you don't cause injury to living beings. It is vegetarian." So he didn't say that. I'm joking. So he said, "Pour the wine. Don't take it as a coup, okay?" So he poured the wine. So the master drank it. So naturally the disciples thought this is a great opportunity. They were all sitting there. So they all had, master had one, they had three. Anyway, so it was all over and they came out. Master went out as he came in, just like that. And the disciples followed like snakes. They couldn't walk straight. In Malayalam they say adichu pambai. So, then they were going along for some time. They came to a foundry. You know what's a foundry? Foundry, Foundry, where metal is melted and things are made. Huh? Anu. Ana is elephant. It's quite funny. So they were going, they came near a foundry. Now, the owner of the foundry was standing outside. So the master asked him, "Why are you not inviting me inside?" He said, "Please come, Master. I didn't know you want to come to a foundry. Please come." So he went and the disciples also followed. They all sat. The master asked the man, "What have you got to offer me?" The man said, "There's nothing here to offer." He said, "I have some melted tin which I am making, some vessels. Give it to me," he said. He poured it and the master drank it. Then he turned to his disciples, "All of you help yourself. Can you do that?" Cannot do that. So what I'm trying to say, he said, do only what you can do. And as far as possible, stick to the rules. Stick to the yama niyamas as much as possible. It makes life simpler, makes meditation better.
Until recently, for about a year, I used to very regularly sit and chant the Guru mantra, and it gave me some bit of peace, and I enjoyed it, and it gave me comfort. I didn't read any texts, but there were a few at home, and I remember from the Patanjali Yoga Sutta, there were one or two things that gave me some comfort. So I believed that what I was doing could give me peace.
Yes.
And I also believed that there was a philosophy and there were some texts that supported it, that gave me comfort. It's something I held on to. However, in the last year, because of my studies, because of the field work I have done, because of the people I have met, I have learned about the social inequalities that have also been, somehow they have their roots in a similar philosophy, in the same Hindu philosophy or systems. Those systems also create some inequalities which really troubled me. And I'm finding it difficult. I feel like my faith in those scriptures or in those philosophies, which I didn't understand fully, but I had a faith in them, that has been shaken. Because I don't believe that I can consider that as a truth if it has also perpetuated these kinds of inequalities, and it's coming in the way of me being able to do that chanting and that meditative practice. But I I believed that what I felt was true. That little bit of peace that I felt was true, but I'm not able to do it.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah, so I want to know how I can regain.
Yeah, okay. So, there are two sections to this. If you find this smriti part, see, in the ancient text there is a smriti and there is a shruti. Shruti is universal truth which cannot be changed. Smriti is that which changes and adapts according to circumstances, according to persons, according to historical situations and geographical locations. This is smriti. Shruti is only truth that is meant for all. There is no discrimination to whom the Shruti should go. It means the truth. If I say, for instance, that I have a soul, I have an Atman, which is a spark of the divine. If I have an Atman, which is a spark of the divine, then everybody should be having that spark. Just because somebody is born in some situation, it's not that he can or she can be without the spark, right? So, what I am saying is, since you have already tasted a little bit of this understanding in your experience, discard what you don't like and take what is good. You don't have to take everything. See, a Paramahamsa is considered to be a term used for great saints and beings who are like the mythological swan. You know the swan, white swan, which is the Hamsa. Swan is called Hamsa, which if you mix water and milk and keep it in front, has the capacity to take the milk and leave the water. So, try to imitate the Paramahamsa. Take what is good, what you don't agree with. There is no rule that you should not discard what you don't agree. Discard it. And when you think that it is discriminating, think that I am concerned more with the soul than with the body. Therefore, today somebody may be born in a body of a certain type. In the past, what is the guarantee that that person was not born in a body of a different type or a different section? If that is so, then you don't believe in reincarnation. Then the soul has to go from body to body to learn its experiences. This is the whole theory of reincarnation, coming again and again. So if the soul has no sex, has no creed, has nothing, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham, I am of the nature of Shivam, I am bliss. It cannot have anything external to modify it. So you go to that core, don't worry about other things. And when you do service, when you go do your social work, keep this in mind that your work is your worshipping of the divine, which is eminent in all these beings. You don't have to go the whole hog and discard everything. Pick up the pearls, discard the dross. You already know that you had some experience which was good. Why would you discard that? Stay with it. And gradually try to work out in some way how to adjust both.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a question. I have a question. As a seeker.
Where is it coming from? That was Akashvani.
So I have a question. As a seeker, the goal of this spiritual journey is not very clear to me. So I have a vague idea what it could be, but not having crystal.
Tell me your idea.
Yeah. So first thing is I wanted to understand it from different. I wanted to understand it from. I read it from different sources.
Okay.
And I found there seems to be a little difference in the ideas of this truth in different tradition. For example, Nagarjuna Surnavada is looks like it is slightly
Looks
different.
like.
Yeah, it's slightly different from Satchidananda of Upanishad. And even Kashmiri Saivism, that has, I think they have clearly told it like, other than Satchidananda, there is
Are you
consciousness.
Bengali or something?
No. I am from Jharkhand.
Oh, Jharkhand. Close by.
Yes. So, it seems like Kashmiri Saivism said like, other than Satchidananda, there is self-consciousness of this Purusha, Shiva also. So, see, means it's confusing, like which one.
Okay. Don't at the moment claim to follow a thing or not follow something. Try to think of it seriously as your inquiry into the truth. Because only those who have found it can come to a decision on what is right and what also. Since this is such a vast and infinite subject, people might have viewed it in different ways. That need not necessarily take away from the infinite nature of this. Right? People who can see the whole. People who can see partly can see only some limbs. And even those who see limbs could have written books, could have taught. So we should look at it in a little more whole point of view and don't come to conclusions until you follow a certain path and come to the goal. And then if you don't like it, you can discard it. You'll say, maybe my life will end by then. Doesn't matter, you'll come back again. Seriously, I'm not joking.
So is it a good idea to keep moving without having clear understanding of the...
No, when I say keep moving, I say take one and try to move to get a clear understanding of that first. It's not easy to move on different ways and try to find clear understanding everywhere. The human mind is not that big. So, follow one which appeals to you at the moment, which also satisfy your intellectual curiosity also in some way, and which you think is rational according to you. Rational is defined in different ways by different people. But anyway, and then when you go to a certain level, then you see if something is there in it. Before that, you can't conclude either that it is right or that it is wrong.
Just last question. Can we say enlightenment is nothing but a continuous state of turiya, like someone get into turiya and remain there for forever?
You have to get into turiya to say that.
No, I'm just...
No, this is theoretical, yes.
Is it...
We had wanted to discuss turiya, but today. We will do that little bit tomorrow, because you asked me specifically this question and used the term turiya. So tomorrow morning when I come back, I am going to start with turiya. Not put everybody into turiya, not like that. But it can't be done by somebody else, it has to come by itself. This light can only be lit oneself. Nobody can light it for you. So we will discuss this turiya tomorrow, because you asked for it. May be helpful to others also, because everybody knows there is a word called turiya. So what does it mean? And then we will discuss your continuation of that. Is that fair enough?
Yes.
How old are you?
28.
Are you married?
No.
I am just asking.
Namaste, sir. When the divine spark is touched, is there anything distinct individuality of the divine spark or only totality?
Say that again.
When the divine spark is touched, any individuality of retaining the divine spark is there or only totality exists?
See,
Because in your recent book, Friend, you have said there is nothing like spirit or soul, only consciousness.
I didn't say so, you got it wrong.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Don't read too many books, including mine. Let me put it
And
this.
so I also add in Paramahamsa Yoganandaji in his autobiography Yogi, he said that soul never loses its individuality. So that
These are all,
I'm not able to understand.
these are all theories which have come through certain teachings, right? Actually, if you started with the question, if you touch the spark of the divine, is there an individuality remaining? This is where you asked the question. I would like to tell you this. This is from example from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He said once, a salt doll, doll made of salt, went to measure how deep the ocean is. Salt doll. Where is the salt doll? There's only the ocean. Right? But the ocean has its own wide individuality, not the small. Because the ocean is not the earth. The ocean is not the mountain, it is the ocean, that individuality. But it is much wider than the ordinary salt doll, which goes to see how deep the ocean is. So when they say individuality, it doesn't mean an individual like you and me sitting here and talking. It means an identity of consciousness. In the midst of this entire eternal consciousness, there will be some little whirlpools here and there. That's what it means. But the whirlpool is no different from the sea. It is the same. Same, yet in a way different. Difficult to explain. When you touch it, probably this is the meaning of Vishishta Advaita. Ramanujacharya, finding that this, I'm not a Sri Vaishnava, I'm just telling you, finding that this Advaitic philosophy is going a little too much away and people are, that heart is not there, it's going off, everything becomes a little intellectual, which is not the truth, but over the years. If that is the truth, how will the greatest Vedantin sing Bhaja Govindam or write the Saundarya Lahari? But later on. Said in a little different way, that water is water everywhere, right? The chemical composition is H2O. He didn't say that, I am saying. It's everywhere. It's the same water. The water in the gutter and the water in the ocean and the water in the river and the water which you use to offer to the deity and take a it's all water, agreed. But you, in the ocean and in the rivers, the ship can move. The little bowl of water you have on your table, dining table, is also water. It is the same. You can't move a ship on it. Right? So he said, while qualitatively everything is same, there is a quantitative difference. That in which the ship moves is Ishvara, and that which bowl in your table is the Jiva. But both are H2O. I don't know how to put this. This frustration of trying to put this thing is there from ancient times. That's what. Think about it carefully. Put for thought.
We are coming to this world again and again. So is there any end to that? That is this birth and death cycle. Is there any end to that? Maybe self-realization, is that the end to that?
If one really desires not to come back, there is an end to it. But the other day somebody told me, I can't understand why we should not come back. I enjoy coming back. What do we do? Seriously, I'm not joking.
But sometimes it is
It's
I'm
nice.
feeling like, no, it's like a Maya. We are just like acting actually. It is
So, you're
no
right.
real in this world actually.
You're right, but this lady didn't understand that. She said, and that too, she was only a Punjabi vegetarian, which is rare, and she said that I want to come back and eat my dal and potato, and it was very nice. So I said, wonderful, God bless you, so don't think of moksha, I told her. So, the moment you find that you don't want to come back, life is nice, but sometimes you get disgusted with it. And then it is the beginning of the idea that birth has to stop. Only if you think so. If you're still satisfied with the world, it makes no sense to say, I don't want to come back. If you are seeing it through and say, enough, then the stopping of the cycle of birth and death is called moksha.
So how we can stop that cycle?
First we need to study, get into this, try to rest in that which is not of this world, but lives in this world, which is yourself. Go deeper and deeper, and then when you begin to enjoy that, this will drop off. You don't have to drop it off. See, there is somewhere this feeling that we have to drop something off, and then when you just need to get mature on this. As you get mature, as you grow, as your mind grows, even if you want to hold on, it will drop off. You cannot. All mothers know that for how many months does the child stay in the womb? I forgot. 9. Long ago, no, I forgot. So 9 months. So for 9 months, who protects the child? The muscles of the womb. And when it is mature, who pushes it out? Muscles of the womb. Prakriti, this world is also like that. This Maya is like that. The moment you are mature, till then it will protect you so much that you won't even easy to break through. But when you see that you are really mature, the same thing will push you out. You don't have to do anything. We have only to grow.
I've been practicing meditation for the past 1 year, and I took kriya from you, and my meditation got deeper. I have an experience like after the kriya, when I do the meditation, I experience a blissful state, and it goes on. And after that, I'm lost for some time. And again, I get back to the awareness and I meditate. So I enjoy 2 states. One is with absolute awareness, and one I'm totally lost, I don't know. The second part of the question is the experience which I got with absolute awareness, is that the self? I mean, I'm lost, I don't know what is that state.
Okay, let me tell you something. If you had found the self, you wouldn't ask this question. There will be no doubt. So, you may not have found the ultimate self, but you're moving towards it. You're getting to feel a wonderful, blissful witness. So stay with that witness as long as it stays. By itself, if it merges into non-awareness, allow it to happen. You know why this is happening? Because the mind still has some gross parts. There are still some tamogunas left in the mind. So till they go off, from the awareness you may shift into non-awareness. As the length of time during which you have the awareness increases, that not awareness will slowly disappear. He asked me something about shunyata. Shunya is not nothingness. Shunya means no thing, that's all it means. It means something which you cannot define. It's not, that means it's no material way to describe it, so it's called shunya. In fact, that shunya is no different from the Vedantic Purna. It's the same. So, continue with it, And as you become clearer and clearer, the span in which you get unconscious or unaware will pass off. You will be aware. Now, the next stage will come. When you are still sitting here and talking to me, still there will be that awareness. When this happens, you are done. Then don't come for any satsangs, nothing. Don't come, no kriya, no nothing is required. Till then only.